have a dream, implement that dream, plan, and don't give up, right? Simple. People hear that all the time, but it's resiliency and tenacity. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have the highs and lows. But if you can plan an event, secure the professionals, and have a strategy of how it's going to build your brand and take it to the next level, your return on investment will be more than worth it. Branding starts today. Every single thing you do, touch, post, what you wear, how you look, who you engage with, who you're tied to, they all matter. Plan that event. Have it be the next level, engage the right partners, the right branding, the right sponsorship, and go after it. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't do any of the things that you've already seen. Do something that you want to attend and that you know will have that engagement, and the people will come and they will believe. Even if it doesn't give you the immediate return, it will in the end. I'm definitely a witness of that.
Hey guys, what's good? And welcome to the Co-Sign Life. If you're watching this video, that means you co-sign us and we co-sign you. So here are a couple of ways to support us at Co-Sign Magazine. Number one, view the description below, click the link, and purchase an issue of Co-Sign Magazine. Just like this one right here, physical. You can purchase this. Number two, you can also support us by purchasing Co-Sign merch. Hit the link below and it'll take you to all our past merch items, and we'd love to have your support and see you wear Co-Sign Magazine. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Co-Sign Conversations. Today, my guest is a friend, a partner, a colleague. Y'all may see her producing some of the hottest events, not only in the city, but all over the country. We have the founder of Swan 7 Production and Swan 7 Entertainment Agency. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, KG. I like that intro.
Yeah, it worked out a little bit, but no, yeah. I'm glad to have you here. You know, we've done a Co-Sign Awards last year together.
Yes,
vibe. It was a complete vibe.
It was good for the city. That felt good.
Nah, it definitely did. I've been a fan of your work for quite some time now, so it's been great to actually, work with you, pick your brain, and produce one of the hottest events of the city. And
Absolutely. From
there, you just keep working, keep growing. So. We talked a lot offline before. You told me that you spent a lot of years in corporate.
Yes.
I want to kind of start there with your story, right?
Okay.
So kind of tell us, why you're working corporate. How did you even get into event planning, event production, and coordination, all that?
Okay, absolutely. So I actually spent 16 years in corporate America.
Okay.
Specifically in health insurance.
Okay, it's completely different.
Completely different.
Completely different.
And in the latter 7 to 8 years of that, it was all sales and marketing based.
Okay.
Right. So those skill sets are obviously transferable because I got to be able to pitch, right, to get my clients. I got to be able to show a great brand, right?
For sure.
Got to be able to market myself, and I did a lot of that for some of the top brands in the nation. I made them a whole lot of money.
Okay. Salute to making a whole lot of money.
And I was like, oh no, it's time to make myself a whole lot of money,
For sure.
right? Because if I have that skill set on that side, it can be transferable.
Definitely.
And so unbeknownst to me, I was a part of the Great Resignation. So I resigned, this month will make a year ago.
Okay.
So a lot of people didn't know that I was running my businesses and working full-time corporate America.
Wow.
Like most people never knew that, right? Yeah, so I was really juggling, team no sleep, right? The grind was serious, but it was important to do that because I know a lot of people encourage entrepreneurs to just jump out there, take that leap of faith, and that's cool, but plan.
Right.
Be strategic, let your daytime fund your dream.
That's
right? And go ahead.
So let me ask you this. When I was working in corporate America, it was kind of the same thing. It wasn't, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really want to tell people that I had a job while I was doing.
I really didn't want to either.
Yeah. Why do you think it's like that? And in entrepreneurial life, why do you think we're timid or scared to let people know that we're actually working a corporate job?
You know what? I think it's because most people think that the average person can't leverage and can't multitask and can't handle the load. And so then you're afraid that and then I got it all the time. Oh, now you're full-time doing this. Oh no, baby, both of them were full-time. Right. Let's be clear. Yeah. I was throwing some major events, producing some major things, working with big brands. They were both full-time. Right. There was no part-time, and then they also don't take it seriously. It's like it's your side hustle.
Right.
No, it's not my side hustle. I have two mains.
Nah, for sure.
Right? Like, and it was that. And so I think that is why I was hesitant on sharing that. I think unless you were somebody that worked closely with me on long projects, you wouldn't know that I was working, because you would only know because I, try to finagle daytime meetings around other things, right? So unless you were like close to me on certain projects, most of my clients did not know.
Yeah, I would schedule, if I had to be a day meeting, I would schedule it during my lunch hour.
Yes.
And try to be close to my job, so that way, if I was a little late, I could still finesse, like, there was traffic. Or,
absolutely. Or work from home that day. Like, thank God that work from home transition in corporate America started several years ago, and then the pandemic, it just went straight there. Right. And so that was a better leverage. But I definitely would. And I at that time, I had really had tenure. So, I was taking those 2-hour lunches and,
that's
really knocking out things. I mean, and on top of that, not only did I manage both of those, I also got my MBA at the same time. Yeah. So like when I went to now just being full-time running 2 businesses, because I added an additional business, people were like, well, how does it feel? Do you have more time? No, because now I go even harder.
Definitely.
And I supplement what I needed to have done to grow it years ago, but didn't have the time. So
when did you know it was time to leave corporate?
Basically my back was against the wall.
Okay.
I was really unhappy.
Okay.
I had already prayed about it, but the planner in me had a plan, right? I was like, okay, 1 more year, 2 more bonus payouts, and I'm going to pull the trigger, right? And so I got to the point where my management didn't appreciate what I was doing. They were very narcissistic and manipulative. And when it got to that point and I was completely unhappy, and in a 2-week span, I lost 3 people had passed away that were near and dear to me. And I decided life is too short to not do what you love.
Right. That's important.
And at the end of the day, if I plan to win, I'm going to win. There's not a goal that I don't set that I don't attain. So this is no different.
Right.
Jump off that cliff, leap, you're going to fly. Right? Now, I'm not going to lie, it was scary. I didn't give any notice. I said it's effective immediately.
Immediately.
Like, however, listen, corporate America will go on without you, no matter how amazing you are.
Man, of course.
I was like, it's effective immediately. And I'm not going to lie, it was scary, right? I had that laptop. I was about to, send my resignation. I was shaking to press the button. And luckily, I had a significant other. I was like, if I do it, do you got me? He said, do it.
Nah, that's real.
He was like, you're not happy. You're too talented. You're too amazing. Chase that dream. Do it.
It's real. It's important. Like you said, you talk about planning. I feel like we all try to plan when it's time to leave, but it's like you continue to do that, you're going to stay there. You're like, stay. Man, I just need a couple more bands or another project, and then you never end up leaving. So like,
absolutely,
you just got to take that leap of faith and fly. That was one of the best things I ever done in my life, was leaving corporate America. Like, I hated my job.
I'm with you.
I was so unhappy. Unhappy.
And then it changes you as a person, right? Because quite honestly, when you're not happy in the role or the thing that you're doing, your mindset changes. Your creativity is impacted. Your energy and your vibe is off. Right. Like I'm like, why am I walking around the house with an attitude? Like I'm a fun person. I'm vibrant. I'm outgoing. Unless you get me on 10, I'm pretty cool and even killed. But I literally would wake up just with an attitude or an anxiety to even open my laptop.
For sure.
Nobody should live like that. Nobody should be forced to live like that just to make a living. There are so many amazing things that we can do out here to invest, to build our brands, to really make money. If you can dream it, you can implement it. If you can find somebody that believes in the dream, you can fund it. You can make money from it.
Facts. So let's talk about that. Do you remember your first client?
Ooh, let's see. I think my first clients were wedding clients.
Okay.
Right.
So you started in the wedding game.
I did. Okay. And ironically, I won't say that I completely moved from that because I still have wedding clients, but now I'm working more with brands.
Okay.
Ironically, which I love too. I think that initially wedding clients were easiest because they started off being people who knew me.
Gotcha.
Yes, and then the very first thing that I did before I even started my business, I helped 2 friends with their wedding. Okay. They were in the planning process, and I was supposed to be in the wedding. And then as they were in the planning process, I was like, nah, you need me to coordinate, organize this. Let me step out, remove myself from the wedding, and be your coordinator, planner, and I can still wear a fly dress. I still take pictures with y'all, but you need me more so you have an amazing day. But quite honestly, I've been involved in planning and producing events since I was a little girl. My mother used to throw a huge fashion and talent show for the entire city back home. And I mean, we were 5 and 6 years old, and it was like, you're going to model, you're going to sing, you're going to coordinate, you're going to commentate. Like, she believed in, and then I was so shy. And she was like, no, you could do it. Like, step forward, organize this. And then I just kind of took it over. And then from there, I realized, oh man, this makes me happy. This makes me feel good. Like, when other people are having an amazing experience, I feed off that energy, and I'm like, oh yes, like it's like they're finding a piece of heaven on earth.
Nah, that's real.
Like, they're like, oh man, this is a good time. So now the brand is really around the experience. Like, if I'm, collaborating with Cosign or any other the other brands, and they see Swan 7, they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a vibe.
Nah, for sure.
And that is what I want. That is what I wanted for the brand.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I feel like a lot of business owners get this misconstrued, right? So let's hear this directly from you.
Okay.
What does an event planner and coordinator do? Because I've heard some people say, I could do it myself. I'm like, bro, no. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So talk about, what y'all do as a planner and coordinator, and then talk about the benefits of hiring somebody to take that over.
Absolutely. So what we do as a planner and coordinator is much different from what most people think. Now, there are some people who do hybrids and have additional build outs within their company, which I do. But initially what we do is we plan. So before we start planning, we take your theme or concept and we make it into an entire project flow, and what came from an idea actually becomes a strategic brand and experience, right? And so it's not just us coming that day, executing and coordinating. It's working out every meticulous detail to make sure that day, the vendors, the setup, the crew, the guests, the flow, the operations, the production, the lighting, the sound, the look, the feel, all of those things are coordinated to a T, where the day is flawless, you're stress-free, and you're not coordinating all of those moving pieces. Because so many people think that they can, right? They're like, I just need a decorator, and I love decorators, right? I love designers, florists, all of that. I'm gifted in that too. But if none of that is coordinated, it's just a nice, holy hot mess. It's like, you got there, I could take a couple of pictures, but this is not fun. The food didn't come out on time. It's 2 hours late. The drinks aren't here. We don't know who's supposed to say what, who's going up there. Nobody thought about that. There's not enough electricity to power the watts for the DJ or the presentation. There's an artist performing. His rider wasn't in place, so he says, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Those are all the things that unless you do this, it's really a meticulous project plan.
Nah, definitely is.
And most people are like, I'm good. Now, I will say, get with someone that will best fit your model, your goals, your initiatives, and your personality. Because as a planner, I work closely with my clients. Like, I'm hands-on, like, hey, KG, give me everything out of your head.
Nah, for real.
So I can take that and do this. And not only do I do that, the great thing about me is I also think long-term and strategize for you. This year we're going to do this, but this is where I see that you should take. For instance, with Cosign Awards, I said, hey, this year do this. I'm a baby step you. Next year go here, and in 3 years, I think this is what it would look like. And you were like, yeah. And so that is what you get from a planner. You get the opportunity to not just do an event, but build a brand.
I like that, because what I realized too is through these events is experiences matter. Like, experiences really matter. Like, we're in the era of like, man, it's no longer just about, who's going to be there. It's about how did I feel about the experience of this event.
Yes.
Like, when you leave, like, if you didn't come, you want people to have FOMO. You know what I'm saying? You want them to be mad and upset that they didn't go. Right. Like they have to go next year. And that's what, that's what I feel like, the events that you produce are like. Like,
thank you.
Like, to be honest, like, I missed the recent sneaker bar you did, and I'm like, man, I missed that. Like, that was an experience I should have been a part of. So Absolutely. It's like, now I know, like, okay, I gotta be there.
Yeah, and that's what I want. And not only will I want that, because that's just what my brand is based on. It's going to also leverage me to get additional business, right? Because people say, oh man, nah, how much is she? We're gonna pay it, because people gonna be like, oh, we coming to that, for sure. And that's great for the city, right? Definitely. The city of Dallas has so many amazing things to grow from, and we're getting the brands there, and now we've set a level of expectation of what events should be
Right.
and what experiences should be. And that was important for me to do. I'm based in Dallas. Now I do events all over.
Right.
I have a team on the East Coast, a team in the South, and we're building out West now.
Gotcha.
So we can travel and do events anywhere. We work with some top major brands, but it's so important to hone that niche first in the city you're in.
Nah, for sure. And that makes a point I want to talk about. How do we bring those experiences from Houston, Atlanta, New York, Miami to Dallas? What I mean by that is
Okay.
there's great experiences here that people like, we have events, but when you look at brands, like large brands, right, you'll see, I'm gonna give an example, like CultureCon in New York.
I love
They
it,
have,
yes.
you know, they have HBO, Netflix, all these
Yes.
huge brands are partnered, a part of it. Then when you actually go there, they have venues that can hold all these activations, right? Like you'll see a complete build out, not just a step or repeat of HBO.
Fabrication, walls, implement. Yes.
How do we bring those here? Like some brands I talk about, to be honest, they don't think of Dallas as a top tier market for
They don't.
that.
They don't.
So it's like, how do we get them to realize Dallas is and bring those types of experiences to here?
Absolutely. So how we start is, ironically, you asked me that question, and that's my strategic plan. And so that's why every client I work with, no matter, sometimes we have great budgets, sometimes we have tight budgets, you know what I mean? But I need that experience to be there, and I need those photo op moments to be there to show Dallas is a thriving market.
Right.
So we start by making sure everything that we do is at that elevated level. And what that means, that this doesn't mean just the aesthetics, that means the look, the feel, and how it's trending on social media platforms, right? What does that reach look like? And are we getting the investment back based on our dollars? What's the ROI, right? Nobody, we spend a lot of money on these events, right? But what's the return on our investment? Well, now we have to find new venues, Cosign Awards is getting to the point where in a little bit, we're gonna need a stadium.
Yeah,
Like legit 400 people are coming to it, right? And so what that looks like is in a year or two, it's going to look like 1,000. Right? And so that buildup of showing corporation clientele that the brand and the engagement is there. Based on the events that we do with you, not only do you get the optics and the social media marketing and trending, you now have new loyal consumers. Right? Especially a lot of the liquor brands and things that we're now working with, both of us, they now see, cool, that market is now starting to buy and shop.
Right.
That market is now engaged. That market is now liking our product when they once were going towards another product.
Right.
Because after the event, we're providing them with the numbers.
Right.
We're providing them with the engagement. And so if we continue to do that, do things also in other cities, then we leverage those brands and bring them back to our city. Right. They want to know your reach isn't just Dallas, it's other cities. Are you pulling in other cities to come to your event? Right? Are people flying in from Chicago, Atlanta, and all that's coming to the Cosign? They are. Are people coming to Swan 7 events from other cities? They are.
Right.
So if we can show that, then they're like, okay, maybe Dallas is a stop. Because they'll pass us up and just go to Houston.
Exactly.
Like for all those brands you name, I know for a fact because I've had conversations.
Yeah.
We're not in one of the top markets, and we should be.
Should be.
We absolutely should be. We have so much star power here, so much influence here, but we got to make sure we're producing at that level like the other cities so we can build out. We also have to educate ourselves, right?
For sure.
I went back to, and I'm getting additional production training. Okay. I'm getting additional training and learning more how to work with fabrication and activation and build out and what truly engages someone to click, market, what makes them engage with the brand, how do they feel when they see certain colors, right. Moods. So how you set the ambience and the lighting in the room, does it make me feel like, ooh, let me pay attention, right. Just based on colorways, mm-hmm. Right? And so if we're not continuing to educate ourselves on what marketing and branding truly looks like, we can't expect these big brands just to give us money to stop through our city, right? Because it's here. There's so much money in Dallas. So many industries, and it's time. We have, some of the major teams here, all these great things, but we as a people have to do a better job with educating ourselves and working at that level and being professional.
There you go. There you go. What about do you think there's like a venue shortage in the city? Because at some point it gets to the point where people feel like, man, I've been to the same venues over and over, or we've done stuff at the same venues. And it's like for concerts, there's a lot of different venues as far as range of capacity.
Great.
But when you get to, events such as weddings or experiences, it's like you're going to the same 3, 4, maybe 5 venues. Right? So how do we get past that?
So I agree. There are Dallas is really big on having niche venues, right? We either have that industrial feel or that rustic chic.
Right.
Is one or the other. There are a couple one-offs that are different, right? But it's one or the other. And so how we get past that is basically, eventually we need to own and build our own.
For sure.
Right? But in the meantime, hire the professionals that can transform the space. If you scroll through my page or if you look at any events that I've done, and I got to do a better job of making sure I'm updating more, but none of my events look the same.
Right.
Not a one. None of the weddings look the same. None of the social events look the same or have the same look and feel. Transform the space. Don't go off what you see trending already on social media.
Right.
Take the space and make it your own and transform it. Hire those professionals where you can do that. Because if not, people aren't excited about it.
Right.
Like literally, when I'm doing events with clients, they, some of their people that are coming will inbox me and literally say, oh man, I can't wait to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's how it needs to feel.
Nah, for
like
sure.
it doesn't matter the space we're booking. I can't wait to see what Swan 7 is going to do.
That makes a good
Yeah.
point. Because there's a venue here, I don't want to say the name because I don't want to sound negative, but there's a venue here that everybody does stuff to. It's more like a industrial spot.
Okay,
Not
I
too
know.
far. They got
Yeah.
the outdoor part, the indoor
I know.
part. Everybody does conferences, fashion shows,
Yes.
and stuff there. But it's like, it's wide open, so you can do a lot
Yes.
with it, but everybody uses it. So sometimes you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to do an event here. They're like, man, bro, I've been to so many events there.
Yes.
But if you could actually transform the space, and I have yet to see, I could be oblivious, but I
Okay.
have yet to see, somebody like really take ownership of that space and do something different, right? Everything is kind of within the same realm.
Agree.
I'm bringing a stage, I'm bringing some decor, bringing some games, and I'm like, yeah, we've seen that.
We've seen that time and time again. Honestly, ironically, if I think I know the space you're speaking of, I haven't done an event there.
You got to.
So I have to, right? Game on, challenge on.
Yeah, you got to.
And I think that's the problem. And also people need to understand before you start doing an event, hire a planner because I think sometimes we don't understand budgeting
Right.
and long-term impact and how much we really need to produce what it is we say we want, right? And then they start and they work backwards.
Yeah.
The first thing that you should allot is a marketing budget.
Right, definitely.
That's the very first thing. Next is your aesthetics, then any other your operations and financial and go from there. And I think a lot of times people say, oh, I want to do this event. I'm going to get these ticket sales and we'll just allot this small amount and figure out everything else on the back end.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it
It will look like everybody else's event.
Yeah, you're going to have some step repeats and
Right.
some hours. People like, welcome.
That's it.
Let's talk about the importance of relationships.
Okay.
Like we were both work with a lot of brands.
Yes.
And it's important to keep those relationships going because, a lot of times we're going them multiple times throughout the year. Like, hey, we have
Yes.
this coming up or we have X, Y, and Z. We'd like to be a part of this too. So not even just from like a brand partnership, sponsorship, relationship wise, but like in general, how
Absolutely.
important are relationships for you in business?
Relationships in this industry are vital, right? In the world, let's just start with the United States. It's a small world.
It's very, very small.
It's so small. Like literally we'll look up and I think me and you have had conversations. You're like, oh yeah, I know that person. And the other person's not even in this state. It's somebody we've both worked in the industry with. So relationships are important. How you treat people matters.
Definitely.
Respect goes a long way. There's a way to execute and handle business respectfully and professionally. The number one thing you could do to make sure you will always be a great business person is communicate and be a person of your word. If you say you're gonna do it, do it. Doesn't matter what changes, what alters, follow through on what you promised.
Right.
And what you promised, over deliver.
Right.
That is the secret to being an amazing business person. So if I promise this level of service, I'm going to go above and beyond that. Because then my client's like, oh man, this is dope. You added this. I didn't even know.
Right.
Like, we had that experience, right? With co-signer words, it was like, oh, Swan, yeah, I'm glad we added that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do that because everybody knows everybody. And
sure.
once your name is tarnished and your word isn't true, or you didn't effectively communicate, or you didn't execute or provide or pay what you should have, that travels with you forever.
Nah, for sure.
And people talk.
Oh, do they?
People talk and people share. Some things you can take with a grain of salt, right? Because there's a little hate in everything, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of knock some things off. But if you are hearing it consistently, and then hearing it from good people is true, right? And so your brand will follow you. Just the brands and the relationships that I've established just with people actually continue to get me more business. I don't really market.
Right.
It's literally based off the relationships. You know, I think, word of mouth, because word of mouth is somebody vouching for the experience that they had. Right? It's not just somebody saying she's good. It's somebody, I experienced it.
Right.
Man, I went to that event. She's so dope. And that conversation happens. I mean, you and I've been in a situation where we have mutual sponsor partners, and that sponsor partner was like, hey, I talked to such and such. Are you doing that event with them? I was like, yes. Yeah. Whatever they need, get it to them. Yeah. And literally that matters, right? Sure. Like, and he was like, cool, bet. I was like, add that to all the list of things I've asked you for, right? Yeah. And so that matters.
No, for sure. Yeah, because even in that same conversation, we did a walkthrough, and they were like, they want to do something to patio, and they were like, yeah, you know, Swan is actually helping on another project we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, synergy.
Synergy matters when people trust the process, right? Because they trust the person, and they trust just what the person has shown through their work ethic and their model. Yeah. And I think Dallas struggles with that. If I could just be completely honest and completely 100. Yeah. It took a while, you know, to get there. I think we all building and growing, right? I wasn't always, my events didn't always look like this, right? But the work ethic was there. The drive was there. The being a person of my word was there, and the professionalism was there. And so then as I grow, learn how to design, and now I even teach conferences and classes and things of that nature, then it all comes together. But Dallas just has to start with being professional and operating at a higher level.
I think, and I love the city. You know, I'm not from here, but I've been here for like 15 years.
Okay. I've been here 12.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've noticed in Dallas is there's this complex of everybody wanting to be the one. You know, that's like, man, like they don't. I understand, but it's like, man, there's enough room, opportunity, money for all of us, right?
For all of us.
Like, you don't typically have to be the one to still have a great life and a great business.
No.
Like, I don't care about none of that. Like, well, whatever I do over here doesn't affect what you do.
Agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
completely.
we can both operate in the same field.
We're both going to Houston, and we're in two different lanes.
Exactly.
But we're both going to Houston.
Both going to Houston. Yeah.
You driving in the right lane, I'm driving in the left lane, but we're both going to Houston, right? And people forget that. And because of that, we aren't able to get those big brands to come in and give us $1 million. Or stop and make the tour stop here, or, you know, make the whole activation and doing something like CultureCon and all that. And the great thing that I can say is I know it's coming, because so many of us want to do something great like that. And when we power together and do it, it's going to be amazing.
I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to have to take like us getting out of that. I want to be the one to do it, and then, you know, I'll bring in people for help, but like, nah, let's equally partner
to do it.
Yeah,
like it doesn't need to be just my face. Honestly, when people do that, you look unprofessional. Because a corporation has a team. There's CEO, there's vice presidents, there's divisional VPs, there's executives there, and all of them are at the C-suite level, right?
There you go.
So if you're calling yourself the C-suite level and it's just you, if I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You just started.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't see a team behind someone, number one, I know that it's them. They're not effective, right? You don't have a clear strategy or operational flow. That means behind the scenes, the business can't be flowing well. It just can't. Just can't, right? And then if I see you by yourself, I'm like, ooh, is there a little narcissist going? Like, I'm going to think all these things, which are all these things that the brands think when they see that. If they see just one consistent face, it's not good. Yes, should your face be identified with your brand? Absolutely. The first thing people see, oh, Swan, she runs da-da-da-da-da. You know, cool. It should be like that. But your business shouldn't look like the model of only one person being seen. I have event planners that are on my team. I have designers. You know, some of them, you've worked directly with them. You've worked with my event planning team, my designers. They can be contacted. They leverage. They even have other companies solo, but they contract under me to work with for my company as well. And so many people in the industry were afraid to do that. Oh, they're going to take my business. They're going to run off with it. I'm not worried about that. I want their businesses to grow and flourish. They're a human being with goals and dreams and everything. That's what contracts are for. There's a clause. You can't take my clients. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to help build me. I'm going to build you. And we're going to go to the top together.
See, one thing I can say that, you know, that you just made a great point, which you're actually smart of, is don't be afraid to put contracts in front of people. I will say that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I've been hesitant because it's like, some of these people are your friends, and you know how people get when you put paperwork in front of them.
Yeah.
But
they feel some type of way.
Yeah, but you have to be able to protect yourself and your business. Because I will say, I've had that happen to me. Not really take my clients, but like try to. Try to like.
It's an international. What they were kind of moving and grooving.
You know what I'm saying? Try to remove you.
Yes, remove you from the equation.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, but I will say this. So like, when we both come from a place of you want to see people win.
Yes.
Right? You want to help people. Naturally, you're like, oh, I'm going to connect y'all two.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it starts.
Yes.
But then when you get up in business, you're like, if I do that, if I do this up front, my business doesn't win and I can't sustain like that.
Correct.
So what I will do is, okay, I'm gonna connect y'all two, but let's put this contract together. And that way, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You're still you, but under cosign, you work with this client.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
That's the exact model I formed, because prior to that, it was I'm connecting, and let's just be honest, knowledge is not just power. Knowledge can make a financial impact to somebody's pocket.
For sure.
Right? And so just like we have to grow and sustain and turn on our lights, and I like designer too. Right? So with that being said, if I'm giving you all these things that I spent years curating and learning, it's a price tag with that.
Right.
So if I'm connecting you to my plug, people get paid. That's called consulting.
There's what is it too in the labels? It's a finder's fee.
Yes.
Yeah, like a finder's fee.
I implemented that because I realized I was putting people on.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's great because I do it naturally. Just with people. I'm just like, hey, I'm going to connect you with such and such, or hey, go to such and such. And that's cool. But now, then I start to help additionally past that, start to strategize with you, all that. That's consulting. And then let's do a leveraging finder's fee for connecting with you, with getting you the impact. And now we're all winning. Right? I don't feel slighted when you go off and do all these things, and I'm like, oh, dang, they didn't even I wanted to still be a part of that project. And like you said, and they'll just go off, and that's cool. But you want to feel like whatever you're doing not only added value to them, but adds value to you. That's the win-win.
Yeah, see, I struggle with that when it came to like sponsorships. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really rock with you, it's nothing. But if it's new, like, like last year with, one person, I was like, man, here's a contact, whatever y'all can do, you know what I'm saying? But some people, it's like, man, it took years for us to build the relationship.
With that contact.
Yeah, so it's like, I'll be like, all right, you know what, I'll do more so, like, I'll do consulting, you know what I'm saying? Or, like, I got a guide, you could do like, you could, download the guide on how to get sponsorships, because a lot of times it's like, man, if you correct people directly with them, they'll be grateful for like a day or two. And then it's, what I'm saying? Then after that, it's like, me, like, dang.
That's all they're talking about.
Yeah,
that's where the focus shift. And it's like, oh, I thought we was about to come at this at a team approach.
Yeah.
I thought we were about to build, like, well, you building there, you building there, and we're going to come together, collaborate, and that disappears. Because now people have what they want. And that's when you see the true measure of their character. So the most important thing that I can say is, my relationships have really helped to leverage where I am today. I was able to, we just started the entertainment company. It's only been in business a year. And we were able to work with some of the top brands, Def Jam, Interscope, Rock Nation, top clientele, leverage things. And it was just because of the relationships that my employees have.
That's amazing.
In the industry. And then them trusting me, right? Because some of them were already moguls. They didn't need me. They didn't need me to come in with Swan 7 and bring them in on the team and all that. They were already working with all these companies and had all this reach for years. And they were like, no, I see what you're doing is dope. I believe in the dream. We join in the team. Yeah. I mean, they're boss moguls. They're already there. I was trying to break in the entertainment industry. Sure. And they're literally like, okay, we trust the vision, and turning over their contacts based on the relationships that they have built with me.
That's amazing.
And you can't break into that industry that quick without that.
That's amazing. I told myself moving forward, any other business that I, either create or, be a part of, I'm only doing partnerships.
Yes.
I'm only doing partnerships. I can no longer be like the only lead person. Like even like right now, I have a team building people up, but it's to the point to where like people want to like probably the same thing. People want to like work directly with you.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, you know what I'm saying? That's cool, but you know, this person's gonna help you with this part, and then you know, I'll follow with you on this.
Yes.
End. But people want that one-on-one. It's like, man, I can't do that.
I can't. I'm spreading myself thin.
You know,
I'm thin.
If
like,
you want the best work, holler at her first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I got you.
Yes,
but, you know.
absolutely. And don't be afraid to leverage just other things. Like, so depending on the clientele and what the reach is, I'll have them work directly with other planners on my team. Or I'll have them, if it's something where I'm like, okay, that's something where I'm probably outside of their budget scope from a production or planner standpoint.
Gotcha.
So I'll say, you know what? We have a sister parent company. You can work directly with them and they can implement, because it sounds like you mostly just want to focus on design.
Gotcha.
Right? And I'll do that. And so many people are so worried about, I don't want to be kicking back referrals and you losing money. You know? No, I'm not, because all those people now are extremely loyal to me.
Right.
If I say, hey, if Swan 7 got something going on, they all want to work. I feel bad. I'd be like, I only need 5 people today. You know what I mean? They're like, no, the event's going to be fun and we're going to work. They're going to work 10, 12 hours. They're going to do whatever they need to do because they believe in the dream, not because they need it, because most of them have day jobs, right?
No,
and successful ones.
Yeah.
But they're like, no. We believe in this dream, let's power it, and we have a good time, right?
And I could co-sign that, because I remember I reached out to you after the awards. It was like a little small dinner one of my clients were putting together. It wasn't a huge budget, and you was like, yeah, I'm going to put you in contact with, you know, your partner.
Yes.
And you know,
Alfred would label me exclusive. Label me
Yeah,
exclusive.
label me exclusive, and he came and did it, and, you know, and it was love. It was like, yeah, you know, this would probably be better for him. And
yeah, like I'm not that person that's not gonna refer or tell somebody, and we got to get out of that, right? Because then that is what's making the mentality of it's mine, only me.
Right.
Because we're not. It's so much. We can never run out of money in clients.
Nah, for sure.
Remove that mindset.
Definitely.
There's so many clients in the world, and clients like different looks and feels. They may not roll with my personality.
For sure.
Cool. I have 3 or 4 other planner friends that I can refer you to. You know what I mean? And not every client is my client. Right? I've talked with some clients and I'm like, I can't be stuck with you for a year. I'm like, I can't be stuck with you for 3 months. Like, this is not gonna work. You're not gonna trust me. You don't listen, you know, and that matters. Like, that's the energy that you're vibing off for whatever that time period is, and it has to work in order to be successful.
Right. I'll ask you this: what are some misconceptions that you realize or that you heard about when it comes to like event planning and coordination from people? Like, what are some things like they're just totally oblivious of?
The amount of hours that's put into it. Most people don't understand. It's so detailed that outside of the time that we're talking with the client, we've spent hours mapping out zoning, how things should work, layouts, where things should go, the timeline, the flow, the what ifs.
Oh yeah.
We have to have contingency plans. What if these lights don't come on and there's a power outage? Do you have a generation team on backup? Do you know who to contact for the operational flow of that place? Do you know the fire exits in the layout? True. When the DJ comes in, if they're going to be over here, is there an ample amount of wattage on that wall?
Gotcha.
Right? And so it's a misconception that we're really not working. We're just coming and coordinating.
Gotcha.
Right? That's the biggest misconception. The other thing is we just decorate.
Yeah.
We just decorate. And I've gotten to the point, I'm going to be honest, I don't even touch it anymore, right? I know how, right?
Yeah.
But I have team.
Makes sense.
So I've mapped out the design, or I'm designing with my designer, and they are able to come in and execute, or the vendors that I've hired, if we have to do outside rentals or whatever it may be, I don't have to physically touch it anymore just because of the level of where I've gotten. But those are the biggest misconceptions, that we're just coordinating the day of, so they feel like, I don't need to hire you. My friend can just tell people where to go on the day of, and that we're just coming in and decorating.
Yeah. See, I ain't gonna lie, when I first started, I thought I didn't know the difference, because I remember 1 year, for 2 years, maybe 1 year for Cosign Awards, we actually worked with an event planner.
Okay.
But there wasn't a decor.
Okay.
So I was like, man, I thought it was.
Oh, wheels don't get both. Yeah.
Yeah. But she was like, nah, like I plan and coordinate. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, she did make sure like things ran smooth.
Right.
But then, you know, like I said, been a fan of your work. So when I started to see like it's all inclusive,
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And
That's what's needed.
And I think that is, too, what I love about what I do. Because of my eye and attention to detail, I'm a great designer, right? And so then that's that, you know, when I say have that level above, that step above that differentiates you from somebody else, is it's like, okay, she can design. Like, I like her eye, I like her touch.
Yeah.
And then, she's going to make sure there's special touches throughout the event. And so then they're like, yeah, I want to go here because I know my stuff is going to look good. And that's important. And then they're like, oh man, it looks dope. That's fun. That's the second thing, right? And so, I'm just here to dispel the notions. It's more than a word.
Gotcha.
You know, we are an experience.
Nah, for sure.
And I like to call us curators of that, right? I think I was one of the first people to say I curate experiences. And in Dallas, and now I've heard people, you know, coin that niche and start to say it more, but I didn't see it on anybody's website until it was on mine.
That's real. That's that right there. I know we just talked about it a little bit earlier about, like, you know, your plans, but what would you say, like, the future looks like for, you know what I'm saying, Swan 7 Productions? Like, where do you want to take it? Where do you see it going?
Okay. The future is looking bright. It's up. I'm really, really focused on growing the entertainment agency. I've gotten the pleasure to work with some amazing talent and some amazing friends that are extremely talented. So I see us being a force to reckon with in the industry, where labels start to seek us to help with that branding and experience that their artists have. I see us moving into film. I see us moving into sports.
Film and sports.
Right? And so, and then on the planner production side of the company, I see us doing amazing brand activations, festivals, doing more with, like you said, things like, you know, culture cons and engagement and taking brands to the next level and having full immersive experiences, right? And so that's where I see us going. I want to spread international.
Okay. Are you talking my language?
Yeah, stateside is cool, but let's use this MBA I paid for, right? International business. And I want to, so I started off with the initial goal was just being the plug, right? Being the person that could connect people, and then being the person that can plan, execute, and make something flawless. But now I want to be able to empower people. Right. And so that's where I see the personal brand going from my standpoint. And empowerment looks like funding.
We need it.
Empowerment looks like change. And so without giving out more of where I'm going, just know that's where I'm going, and just stay tuned to see how I do it.
No, that's super important. So I kind of want to I like to give people tangible advice, right? So, and you know, everybody loves to talk about money.
Right.
So let's do this.
Okay.
All right. Somebody has, I'm gonna say 25,000.
Okay.
Right. 25,000. And they come to you and they're like, man, I wanna produce an event.
Okay.
I want that Swan 7 touch.
Okay.
So it gotta be an experience. 25 ain't a lot, but it's
something.
Something.
Yeah.
Right. Where should they allocate that 25K?
Okay. So with budgets, the tricky thing is really the guest count, right? So if we're going to make an impact, our guest count with that budget can't be extremely high.
Okay, so
right. So we're going to start with our guest count, but after that, once we start to allot the budget and the money, the very first thing is we're going to pull out marketing, and then a budget for the experience.
What's a good marketing budget? Because that's one thing people don't talk about
at all.
Yeah.
Ideally, I like to see people's marketing budget be 20 to 30%. Okay. Some experts have said 30, 35. It just kind of depends on the brand and what you need. And if they're already immersed, if they already have high engagement, you can adjust and kind of fluctuate, because then they already have loyal customers and buy-in. But you need to be right about there, right? Because branding and marketing looks like so many different things, right? It could be the day of, it could be prior to, it could be weekly, monthly, advertisements push out, and even you're still marketing at the event.
Right, definitely.
Right? So when people come into the event, They shouldn't just be seeing aesthetics. They should be getting educated on your brand.
Right, for sure.
What does this brand look like? What does it stand for? Who are they?
Right.
You know, we got them there because they were interested, but now we're going to make them loyal by being brand ambassadors. Everybody who comes to your event should leave as a brand ambassador.
For sure, yeah. That makes
Right?
sense.
Everybody should say, man, Cosign Magazine is dope. Like, they're doing da-da-da-da-da.
Cosign.
They awarded this. I want to get on the Cosign couch because this da-da-da. Like, everybody who leaves there, the whole reason we're making sure they have an experience is so they can be a brand ambassador.
Gotcha.
Influencers aren't just ambassadors. I'm sorry, corporate. I'm going to dispel that notion, okay? Right? Everybody who's at your event is a brand ambassador. You don't know who they know, who they're connected to, and how they feel. Like, I got to the meetings with the big brands from friends or colleagues that were at my events who loved them. And so then they said, you got to meet such and such. And then such and such said, do whatever she wants. Right? And so everybody at your event is a brand ambassador, not just influencers, not just celebrities.
Right, facts.
Right? And so start with your marketing budget, then go to your operations and production. Right? And then part of that is aesthetics, right? It has to look nice.
Say that is, so let's say 20% marketing. So where you say you put operations and
It's gonna eat up a fair amount because that's also your planner, that's the design, that's the decoration, all of that. You're probably gonna eat up about 40 to 45%, right? And then of course we all love to eat, and the food needs to taste good, right? So that's gonna eat up a substantial amount. And then depending on if you're in it for profit, you should be leveraging and pushing back at least 40% should be going back into either profit payout for you to have, right? Because none of us are doing this for free.
Right.
And then the other half should go into reinvesting in the business. So you should be leveraging that other 30 to 40% or so and dividing that up that way. Now, a lot of people don't do that model, and that's why their events look like how they look. Right? Because they want to make 60, 70%.
They try to double up.
Right. And spend the other 30%. But that doesn't help you leverage bigger budgets. That doesn't help people with the experience of what they had. Like, Instagrammable moments are cool, right? Don't get me wrong. We all want them. But people talk. They're going to leave that event and like, man, did you... They tried to da-da-da-da. And that's because out of the 25,000, you tried to take home 20.
You got to take all of it.
Yeah, so you had nothing left to work with. And, you know, there are people that are hungry and want to be involved, but you can't keep using people for free. And people do that in Dallas. And that was a big thing. So the great people got burned out on wanting to sponsor or wanting to do things because they were being, the value that they were adding to the event, they were getting no value from it afterward.
It has to be mutually beneficial.
Absolutely.
It has to be mutually beneficial. And I feel like that's where we kind of feel that we lack at. Like, one thing I hear a lot from people when they look for sponsors is like, yeah, man, we'll put their logo on the flyer and give them a shout out. So you want to pay $10,000 for a shout out?
Like, no. I'm not doing it. Like,
no way. Like,
and people really didn't think about it. Like, they were making these wonderful decks. And it was basically like, you're going to be on my step and repeat. We're going to shout you out, and I'm going to do an Instagram post. Okay. I gave you $10,000 for that. What am I making back from that? Like, how am I making something back? What was the engagement? What was the immersion? Did they get to sample my product? Could I then go to sales over the next 3 weeks and see the sales increase? What is your proof that it's worth it for me to give you $10,000? Because if I want a write-off, I'm gonna give it to a non-for-profit.
Like, can I at least do a survey and get some feedback or something?
Yeah, anything. Can I at least see, okay, how are they trending? What things do they like? Can I come and just, a lot of times I like when sponsors want to come to the event, right? Because I want them to see what culture looks like today. And I think that's why it's important that we need more sponsors that work with people like us. Because they really don't know what our culture looks like today. They're guessing. It's a room full of marketers, and they're sitting in a room and they're writing some script of how they think we engage. They don't have a clue of our day-to-day. They don't have a clue of what our people love and like. Right? And so they need to sit down with us so we can tell them what we want.
Right. That makes sense. The last question, I want you to tell the good people, the Cosign community audience, right? Leave them with some motivation, advice. Everybody, I'm going to say everybody, a good majority of people today want to produce their own events, right? They want to create experiences so that they can enhance their brand. Leave them with some motivation to get started, some advice, just something to keep them inspired as, they go into this new journey of, producing events. And, it's scary. I remember my first event. I initially went in there thinking, okay, I'm doing this for exposure
Okay.
and for brand awareness, so I know I'm gonna be in the red. If
Okay.
I break even, I'm happy. But just leave them with some motivation and let them know that
Okay.
like, it's possible.
Absolutely. I'm Swan with Swan 7 Productions and Swan 7 Entertainment Agency. If you walk away with nothing else today, it's have a dream, implement that dream, plan, and don't give up, right? Simple. People hear that all the time, but it's resiliency and tenacity. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have the highs and lows. But if you can plan an event, secure the professionals, and have a strategy of how it's going to build your brand and take it to the next level, your return on investment will be more than worth it. Branding starts today. Every single thing you do, touch, post, what you wear, how you look, who you engage with, who you're tied to, they all matter. Plan that event. Have it be the next level, engage the right partners, the right branding, the right sponsorship, and go after it. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't do any of the things that you've already seen. Do something that you want to attend and that you know will have that engagement, and the people will come and they will believe. Even if it doesn't give you the immediate return, it will in the end. I'm definitely a witness of that.
And hire Swan 7.
And if all fails,
Hire Swan 7.
it's not popping if we're not hired to do it.
I'm gonna take 20% finder's fee.
Right.
No, I'm messing with y'all. But no, I appreciate you for being here today.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
dropping them gems and sharing your story. Y'all make sure y'all follow her on social media. If you have any more questions, DM her or shoot her an email. And as always, please be inspired to be great. Do the research, plan, execute. You got to execute the information that you consume. Until we see y'all next time, continue to live the coastline life, and we're out.
We're out.
Hey guys, what's good? Thanks for supporting Coastline Magazine by watching this video. If you really enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share.